Our next speaker, many of you know her because a lot of you in this room are in her downline. We love Kathy Denison, and she is a great trainer and a great inspiration to all. She has just got the most wonderful story about how she got involved in this business. So I want to turn the rest of the time over to Kathy, wherever she is.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about my favorite subject, which is making your dreams come true. And I'm going to begin by telling you my story and how I got involved with this company. 8 years ago, I was living in Aspen, Colorado. I was a single mom. I had just gotten out of a 5-year abusive marriage. I was actually broke. I was cleaning houses to make a living. And I woke up at 42 years old, and I just looked at my life, and I just said, I can't live like this anymore. I'm sick and tired of being poor. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, month after month, getting home from work, broiling up a little chicken, and saying hi to my daughter, and then going to bed and starting the process over and over and over again. And that's all I'd done since I was 18 years old, was work hard, because my folks taught me, if you work hard and you're a good person and you've got good attitude. And since I only had a high school education, because my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, I had to have something else, which was the charisma. I had to have charisma, I had to have good attitude, I had to be a team player, and I figured that was how somehow I was going to be successful in life. And as I was growing up, I used to watch this show, The Millionaire, where the guy, or Tipton or whatever his name is, sat behind his desk, and he was helping other people. If someone had a fire in their home, he would give them money to help their home. I watched my dad going back and forth to work. He was a sign painter. He had his own sign painting company. And I watched him go back and forth to work, and he had a Chevrolet station wagon and paint all over it, and he always had paint on his clothes. And I used to look at him and I go, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be like him. I want to have more in life. Why can't he be a millionaire? Why do I see people, my friends, moms and dads, they're driving Cadillacs and they're playing golf on the weekends? And why do we live with hand-me-down clothes and all that stuff? And I used to go to bed at night and I'd dream, and I used to listen to that little thing that said, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. If your heart is in your dream, no request is too extreme. Now that is the bottom line for this business. And I'm going to tell you how this thing works. And I used to listen to that over and over again. I'd cry myself to sleep, going, oh, I wish I didn't have to have hand-me-down clothes anymore. I wish I could have a new dress for the dance, and blah, 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 blah. So I was always feeling sorry for myself. I had a good attitude and everything, but I just wanted more in life. So I worked really hard. I got out of high school. I worked really hard. And at 42 years old, here I am. Now I'm a maid, cleaning houses to make a living at 42 years old. My hands are all wrecked. I'm allergic to all these chemicals. I'm living in Aspen. I'd lived there for about 15 years. I was going in these beautiful multi-million-dollar homes, and I'm looking at these women that are my age. And they're living these outrageous lifestyles. They're skiing every day. I go into their closets, because I'm in their homes, I'm cleaning. I'm in their bathrooms. I know what's going on in their houses. I see it all. And I'm going in their closets, and I'm seeing these gorgeous clothes, and I'm seeing diamonds all over their counters, and I watch how they live. They have their children fly in for Christmas, and they have like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Christmas presents. I mean, it's just they have a totally awesome lifestyle. I'm looking at them and I'm going, what is the difference between them and me? Why am I always the worker? And so one day I went to bed and I said a prayer. And I asked God for a business opportunity. And I said, please give me something, because I had nothing. I was living in a little unfurnished apartment. I had lawn furniture for furniture with sheets covering the thing, the cushions. And my upstairs, my bedroom was a bed on the floor, no bed frame or anything. And I'm going, I wanted to have a different life. I want to have my own home. I didn't even have a car until I was 42. Can you imagine that? Car not until you're 42. So anyway, I went to bed and I said a prayer and I asked God for a business opportunity. And I said, I want to be like that Tipton guy who helps other people, because all my life I've wanted to help other people. I think that's the thing that gives me the most good feeling in my heart. And so a couple of weeks went by and nothing happened. And so I figured I'll just get into real estate. I'm going to force myself to get into real estate. That's the only thing I really haven't tried. And I'm going to make myself do that whether I like it or not. And so anyway, it was right around Christmas time, and in Colorado, you guys all know, everybody goes to Aspen. All the people that have a lot of money go to Aspen for Christmas so they can have the white Christmas. And so my little cleaning thing was busy, getting ready for everybody to come into town. And so So one of my cleaning clients asked me to do a favor and take a little cleaning job, and I told her I didn't want to. I didn't want any more work. I made up my mind that by January 1st, I was starting something new, period, end of story. I couldn't keep this cleaning business up anymore. And so she said, please do me a favor. These people are really nice, and they just have a little job. I took the job out of guilt and walked in to clean this guy's house, and I'd never seen him before in my life. And he had boxes everywhere. They had just moved in from Texas, and I looked around the house, and I just happened to notice some skincare products. I could tell that that must be what they did or something, because they had these products around. And I picked up one of the jars, and I looked at it, and I could tell that they were really good ingredients in this product line, and I'd never seen it before. And I'll just tell you a quick back thing. When I first moved to Colorado with my baby, she was just like, she wasn't even a year old. I lived in this shack with a girlfriend, and we did the Colorado mountain woman thing. I made up my mind that I wouldn't work for the first 5 years of her life, and so what I did was I did like all these different part-time jobs. I did guys' jobs, I roofed houses. I actually made a little skincare line. I went to the health food store, read up on how to make skincare products, and I mixed my own stuff up. I'd go out in the woods and pick stuff, then I'd go to the health food store, and I'd mix up my own little concoctions with my girlfriend, and we used to go to the stores and buy bottles and decorate them and sell them in Aspen. And I used to think way back then, and this was a little clue to my dream coming true, I'd think to myself, why doesn't somebody make a really hip skincare line? So anyway, here I am in this guy's house, and I'm looking at these products, I'm going, it's the hip skincare line. Right? So I said to him, I said, where did you get these products? And the man, a lot of you are going to be familiar with this, Mark Yarnell. And I said, where did you get these products? I've never seen them. I looked in people's houses for their skincare products because I was aware of what everybody was buying. And most of the women were spending this big money on all these really expensive lines because I was tuned into that. And so I said, where'd you get these products? I've never seen them before. And he says, well, I'm in network marketing. And I said, well, what does that mean? How do I buy the products? And he says, well, you can buy the products from me at retail, or you can become a distributor and buy all these products at wholesale for yourself. And he started telling me about this non-surgical facelift, and he told me about this product called Nutriol. So I said, okay, well, I'll just become a distributor, because that way I can buy them at wholesale. Then he looked at me and he says, you know, you look like you're a hard worker. And he says, I want to show you something. So he walked into his bedroom and he came out with a check copy, and he says to me, this is what I made with this company, this Nu Skin company, in my 4th month with this business. And he says, you know what, if you're interested, I can teach you how to do this too. And I went, what? What are you talking about? And he said, you know, I had a little cleaning business. I knew how many hours I worked to make a couple $1,000s a month. I knew how hard it was to make money. And he says, I don't have time to explain it to you right now. Take this videotape home and look at it and see what you think. He went out skiing. He was teaching, he had just moved to Colorado, and he was already teaching blind people how to ski down Snowmass Mountain. Isn't that outrageous? So I'm looking at this guy and I'm going, you know, I was so excited. I'm thinking to myself, could this be it? Could this be it? Because, you know, I wanted to become a millionaire. I asked for it. I said, could this be it? Could this be it? Could this be it? And that's my husband always says, he says, be careful what you ask for, because you will get it. And so I took my girlfriend who was working for me, we went to her house, because I didn't have a VCR. I had nothing. We drove up. She had a little cabin. And so we drove up there and we popped in this videotape. I had such low self-esteem at the time. I told you I was in a 5-year abusive marriage, and I was a wreck when I got in this business. And when I saw this videotape, it talked about how all of us go back and forth to work for 40 years of our life. And by the time we're 65, only one person achieves wealth. And I'm looking at myself, I'm going, this is a story of me. I've been working my you-know-what off, and I'm 42 years old, and I have nothing to show for it. What's going to change between the time I'm 42 and 65? What's going to change? And then it talked about this new way to do business. And it talked about this network marketing and how you can leverage yourself through people and how people can consume products and you can get paid on the consumption. And I'm thinking to myself, I could tell, even though I hadn't tried the products, I knew that they were good. I wanted to understand this business because I really wanted to see what this was about. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. And so I wanted to understand it. I wanted to really feel it inside that I could do it. At the end of the video, it said there's only 2 kinds of people in the world. People who think they can and people who think they can't. And they're both right. And then he said, I just hope and pray to God you think you can. And I played that thing over and over and over again. I think I played it like 4 times. And I just stood there and cried because I knew that this was it for me. And you know, I think that when you reach that in your heart, if you get that this business is for you and it's long term and that you can really make your goals and dreams come true, that you don't have potential like this. I know all of you guys realize this. You can't go in and start a business somewhere and make the kind of money you can make in this business. It's impossible. And so I looked at this and I could tell I liked the products. I knew that there was a multi-million-dollar business opportunity here if I wanted it to be. And so I made up my mind that I was going to do this business. I made up my mind in my heart because I knew that I asked for it, then I got it. So what are you going to do with it then? Then you got to do it, right? So when I came home, I talked to my daughter about it, and she said to me, "Mom, if you don't do this, you're a fool." I held on to that because most of the people in my life told me not to do the business. Then my mom and dad said, do not get involved in that. Stick with the cleaning business, get a real job, whatever you do, don't do this network marketing thing. And so I was pretty affected by that. Actually, some of the first people that I contacted, some of my best friends told me that it wasn't possible to not even get into it, that it wasn't going to happen for me, and that it was an impossible dream. And at first I was really affected by that. And then I realized that day, for the first time in my life, that they weren't going to pay my bills. They weren't going to buy me the car. They weren't going to pay for my daughter's education. They weren't going to buy me a house. So who cares what they think? I think I can. And I held on to that. And believe it or not, this business is more mental than you'd imagine. This is a very mental business. And actually, it's all up here, what you think you can do and what you think you can accomplish. Okay, so anyway, how am I going to go from scrubbing floors and making a couple $1,000s a month to being a multimillionaire? How is that going to happen? First of all, I got to change my mindset because I'm in the poverty mindset. I've been raised with the poverty mindset. It's impossible to have a lot of money. It's impossible to have free time. It's impossible to send your daughter to Italy for school. I mean, I was raised with that. So how was I going to change? I asked Mark Yarnell, and he said, read the book Think and Grow Rich. So I did, and I think now today, Think and Grow Rich is still a great book, but that was the book that really helped me to open up my mind because I wanted to change, and you have to want to change, and you have to be open-minded to change. You can't be stuck on anything. You've really got to open yourself and get into the flow of life. Otherwise, anything that comes up will set you back. If somebody gets in the business, they get going, they quit, that sets you back. If somebody says something, that sets you back. See, you can't do that. You have to be totally open and focused on your goals. And I'm going to talk about your goals right now. So when I got in the business, you know, I was cleaning houses. I had no self-esteem really. And in this book, Think and Grow Rich, it talked about setting goals. Now, I had never really set any specific goals. I do goal boards. Now, when I got in the business, I had no dreams. I had literally given up, and I think most of us, when we're in our 40s, have forgotten about our childhood dreams. And see, that's when you have your dreams, is when you're a little kid. And then when people say, that's impossible, that's not going to happen, then you stop. And you cut yourself off. But the dreams, I read something about this. If you have a dream about anything, it can happen. The only thing that'll stop it from happening is if you self-sabotage. And most of us self-sabotage because we don't think we deserve it, right? So remember when I had the millionaire dream? I had a little Cinderella dream. I had a lot of stuff like that going on in my life. I wanted to have a beautiful husband. I wanted to have a great life. And none of that had happened. I mean, I had a beautiful daughter, but none of that other stuff had happened. I didn't have a house. I didn't have anything. I put a house up on a board, and I sat down for a couple of nights, and I took all the magazines I could get my hands on. I went out and bought a few, and I started putting things up. I really love to help people. Yes, you can make a lot of money in this business, but you got to like people. If you don't like people, you might as well hang it up right now, because this is a people business. And you also have to work from your heart. No dishonesty, none of that stuff works in this business. You have to have high integrity all the way through. You have to really care for people. You can't fake it. You have to do everything real. This is a real business. And so I put my goals up in this book. It actually gives you affirmations that you can read because, like I said, I was ready to change. I'd never made money before, and I needed to learn how to. So I put my goals up. I cut out a picture of a house that I put. There were 3 parts to it. There was kind of a white kitchen. I'm only telling you this because it goes to the end of the story. There was one of the rooms had a really pretty marble fireplace in it, and behind the marble fireplace were these big windows, and you look out and there's a swimming pool. And I like really follow my intuition, what I'm really attracted to. So I looked through all these magazines. I've cut out all these pictures. So I have this picture of this house. I have a BMW. I have diamonds. I wanted my daughter to go to college. I want to help my folks. I have an old age facility. I have a bunch of stuff up on this board. I will do business all over the world on the top of it. Now, when I first got in the business, the company was not international. I think they had Nu Skin International, but they really weren't international. They were just working in the United States. And so I had that up there, and people used to come over to my house and retail some products and repeat that over and over again. And if you're not showing the business to people and showing the plan every single day, you're not doing the business. That's the bottom line. So I couldn't call them and say, how do you do the business, Mark? Because I knew. And we used a videotape, which was really easy. Tell your story, videotape, see if they're interested. That's it. Over and over and over and over and over again. And so I knew how to do the business. So anyway, he said, the first thing I want you to do is invite 30 people to a presentation. I'll help you with your first business meeting. So I invited 30 people. I went around to Aspen with my little blue bag, and everybody said, yeah, we'll be there, yeah, we'll be there. Well, 7 o'clock rolls around, and 2 people came. One of the girls that was working for me, and then one of my neighbors who had watched me in this marriage and felt sorry for me, so she came just as a support. Going out and talking to people was totally out of my comfort zone. And that's another thing you got to do. You have to be open to changing every single day. You got to not be afraid to change, because if you change and walk and do something a little bit different, everything's going to open up for you in a whole nother way. So you cannot be afraid. Don't let any fears stop you. Even though they seem overwhelming and, oh, I can't do it, and I'm sweating and I want to really go to bed, you have to step into those fears and overcome them every single day. They are going to come up and they're going to try and stop you. They're just an illusion to stop you from going for your dreams. So it was very hard for me when he told me to get 30 people. I hadn't even talked to anybody for like 4 years, much less asked him about a business opportunity. Well, Mark Yarnell started doing the presentation, and I was very upset because I knew that there should be more people there, and I felt like a total failure. And afterwards, after the 2 people left, and the one girl actually signed up, he said, it doesn't matter who was here. The people that were supposed to be here are here. And that's another good thing to remember. And I kept thinking, oh, it must have been something I said. He says, don't start doing that to yourself. Do not criticize yourself, and don't start analyzing what you're saying. Whatever's coming out of your mouth is okay. You know, if you're excited and you're enthusiastic, don't pick yourself apart and tell yourself, oh, I'm a failure, I didn't get the people here. You can't buy into any of that stuff. Any of the negative stuff you can't buy into. You just got to keep marching forward. So whatever comes out of your mouth is the right thing to say, period. You can't criticize yourself. So the first meeting, I got 1 distributor, and I felt like I was a real failure. And I never did go back and talk to the rest of the people in Aspen and ask them why they didn't come to that meeting or anything. But I kept working my business. I worked every single day out of my house. I showed the business opportunity to one of my girlfriends who I first signed up in the business. So we worked together and started building our business. And she had big dreams and goals, and that was what it was all about, big dreams and big goals. And we were ready to do whatever it takes to become successful. And I think everybody's got to get to that. Whatever it takes, you've got to do. It doesn't matter what it is, you just got to do it. And I looked at it like this. I went, okay, here, I'm 42 years old. I've been working since I'm 16 years old. I have done the most unbelievable things to make money. I'm sure a lot of people in this room have done. I have worked my tail off. If I only have to work for 3 to 5 years to set myself up for the rest of my life, I'm going to do it. I don't care what it is. I worked the business, I would say, on a part-time basis. My first goal was to get out of my cleaning business. So by June, I made a decision that I would be finished with my cleaning business. Now, in the meantime, between January and June, there was a convention in California, and Yarnell said, Kathy, I want you to go to that convention. I said, Mark, I can't afford it. I don't have any money. He says, if you think that you're going to be making $20,000 a month with that kind of a mindset, you're wrong. You have to make the commitment to go, whether you like it or not. You have to go. So he said, you make the phone call and make the reservation. So I did. I went home and I made the reservation. I had no credit card either, by the way. I had nothing when I started. So I borrowed my sister's credit card, and I made the reservation to go to the convention. And about a week later, one of my girlfriends called up and said, hey, listen, why don't you come out to California and visit? I'll pay for the airline. So you never know how things are going to work out. But if you say, I am committed to doing something, or I'm committed to having something, it's going to happen. You might not know exactly the time frame, but it's going to happen. So in 6 months, I was in California. I got my executive. I became an executive in 6 months. And I was finished cleaning houses. That was it. I'll never forget the day when I drove out of Aspen. I've been working like probably everybody else in this room every single day of their life. And I'll tell you, that was my first day of freedom. There's one highway that comes into Aspen. It's called Highway 82. And I've been on that thing so many times. I've hitchhiked on it. Anyway, I'll never forget the first day when everybody was coming into work, all the workers, which I was always a part of, coming into work. And this time I was driving out and I was on my way to freedom. And it was my first day of freedom. And nobody was running my life anymore but me. I was taking charge of my life, and I was going to create my future. And I looked at my goals. I sat in my room, and I had this piece of board, and I covered it. I staple gun fabric on top of it, and that was my office. And I just said, I'm going to make this thing happen. I don't care what anybody says. And I looked at the thing every single day. And I looked at that, and I looked at the car, and I looked at every single part of it every day. Because, see, your mind doesn't know if that's real or not. So the more you look at it, it'll start to come into your life. It's amazing. All of a sudden, one day, I sponsored this guy from California. I met him at a business meeting, and I talked to him about the business, and he said he was interested. He called me up about a week later and said, why don't you come to California? Nobody's out there doing the business. Come on out there. I had just bought a condominium, the first thing I'd ever bought in my life. Everybody told me, don't do it. You can't afford that. And I said, I'm going to do it. I followed my intuition. I bought the condo. This guy says, move to California and do the business with me. And I knew that there was a bigger opportunity there for me. So I went, and I sold my condo, and I said, you know what? I can buy this thing back again someday. I put it up on the market, and I said, I'm going to have to let go of this to have more. You have to make decisions like that sometimes to have better things in your life, and you have to be able to let go of things knowing that other things are going to come in if you get into the flow of life. So I worked the business part-time, and in a couple of years, I was able to finance my daughter to go to school. All my dreams were coming true. My first goal board, I got everything on it. I mean, I got every single thing on it. And it was stuff beyond my wildest dreams, like a beautiful, brand new, car, nice clothes, diamonds, traveling, helping my family, giving money to my brothers and sisters. All these things had come true because they were up on this board. So I did a second goal board. All of a sudden, all the stuff on that goal board came through, except for the house. The house I didn't get. When the company went into Japan, I didn't know anybody in Japan, but I had met this guy in Guam on a vacation, and I talked to him about the business, and he said he was interested. And so I talked to him about it, and he says, if they ever go into Japan, I'm going to do something with the business. So the company went into Japan, and by this time I had made a list of what I wanted in a husband, because I was really afraid to get married again. I was really afraid of having another commitment. And in the meantime, I met this great guy who's my current husband, Mark Rogo, who's been the greatest guy in the world and who is actually my Prince Charming, and he has a lot to do with this last part of the story. We're in San Francisco, and this guy from Japan calls us, and he says, you guys have got to come to Japan. And Mark says, we're not coming to Japan. Why are we going to come? We don't want to come to Japan. And he says, you've got to come to Japan. So in a matter of days, we were in Japan. And they pick us up at the airport in this big Mercedes. We've never been there before. We can't speak Japanese. But we just showed up, because you got to show up. If you show up, things happen. Seriously. So we showed up, and they take us to this restaurant. We walk into this room, and there's all these people. I wonder who these people are. And this guy comes up to me and says, these are just your people in one area of Japan. They want to hear your success story. And you know that video that we have that shows an audience of all Asian people? And the girl standing up in the front. For one couple split seconds, I said to myself, I wish that was my group. It was right there. I was the person standing in front, and everybody was Asian. I didn't speak Japanese. So it's really interesting how things can happen, how fast things can happen if you want them to happen. One of the executive of ours, who was a brand new executive in Japan, said, we want to take you out for dinner. So they took us out for dinner to downtown Tokyo, and we walked into this high rise, and we got in the elevator, went upstairs. The elevator opened, it was all marble, like a room like this, and he walked up with a credit card and stuck it in the wall, and this big door opens up, and we walk in. It's a real expensive restaurant, and I look over, and there are floor-to-ceiling glass windows overlooking downtown Tokyo, which is all skyscrapers. I mean, it's awesome. There's nothing like it to see downtown Tokyo. I'm sitting there, and I look at this guy, Yuji, who I've never met before in my life, and I said, Yuji, this is a dream come true for me. He looked back at me, and just as plain and simple, he says, the only reason I'm here is because of your dream. And your dream has just begun. Then, out of the corner, this woman comes out and sits down at this white baby grand piano and plays When You Wish Upon a Star in Japan. So I mean, talk about wow. So then we come back from Japan, and by this time he'd been living with me in this little house that I had originally moved to in California. And I said, Mark, we got to move. We got to get a bigger place. So we sat down and we made a list of what we wanted. We wanted this big house with big garage. swimming pool, jacuzzi, 2 offices. We went down the list. It looked like an impossible thing to have, actually. And so he opened the newspaper up and he said, "You're not going to believe this, but there's an estate home for rent." And I went, "That sounds good." So we couldn't get a hold of the real estate broker. So we're driving around, just kind of looking, because we got up early and we were just driving around thinking, well, we can find it. Finally, we get a hold of the real estate broker and we're parked on a street and we look across and there's a house that says "for sold" on it. And it's a big, big house. And I look across at it, and Mark's on the cellular, and he's saying, "Well, what's the address?" And she's giving it to us, and we're going, "Well, we're right in front of the place." "What do you mean? There's a sold sign on it." Mark and I got out of the car, and there was a man sitting in the back by the swimming pool. And he was the previous owner, and he just happened to be there. He was wasting some time or something. We said, what's going on here? And he said, "Well, there's this couple that's buying the house. The man lives in Canada, and the woman lives in Tennessee, and they're in love. And this is going to be their dream to come and live here. They're going to get married, blah, 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 blah." So I looked at Mark and I said, "You know, Mark, this place is awesome. This is a house. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the third goal board. I don't think I'm going to get this house. It's not going to happen, right?" So I take it off the goal board, throw it in the trash. So a couple days go by, and I realize I am not going to give up on that dream. I pull that thing out of the thing. I'll never forget that morning. Pull it out. There's coffee stains all over it. I plaster it up on the goal board, and I am going to have that house. I've had that thing for 6 years. I'm not going to give up on that. Why would I give up on that now? So anyway, here we are at this house, and I said to Mark, "I think this is it." We went inside. We looked around. I went, "This is the house." I went, "Look at this. There's a great marble fireplace." I look outside. There's the swimming pool. This is it. This is it. This is it. But we can't have it because that guy and the girl are going to get together, and you know how love is. When you're in love, things happen really fast. And so if you're in love and you have a goal and you're going to come and live in this house, I told Mark, I said, "I don't want to get involved in this. I just really don't feel like I want to move in here and then move out when the people get in the house." So he says, "Okay." So we get home, and the real estate broker calls up, and she says, "Guess what? They broke up. The couple broke up. The woman was going to buy the house anyway because she somehow had put some money down. So we got an option to buy on it, and today we live in it." But the funny thing is, when I went downstairs, in the basement of the house, I opened up one of the cabinets, and here was a little Cinderella carriage, glass carriage with the horses and everything. I couldn't believe it. So it was my house. It was always my house. And so Mark and I live in it today, and all of this is because of this business. And the bottom line is, your goals and dreams come true. If you believe in them, you've got to believe in them. That's the bottom line, and you've got to work from your heart. You can't talk to people. You can't be dishonest in this business. You just have to move forward, show the plan over and over again. I worked totally out of my house, and I really wanted to help other people. You've got to be a leader right off the bat because people follow people with a dream. If you're committed to your dreams coming true, people are going to follow you, and then you've got to do it. You've got to do it, and if I can do this and make my dreams and goals come true, anybody in this room can do it. All you have to do is believe that you can. Set your goals. You've got to have your goals. If you don't have goals, nothing's going to happen. You can work your little butt off, but nothing's going to happen. You have to have your goals. And then you work towards them, and there's going to be ups, and there's going to be downs, and there's going to be people who laugh at you, and there's going to be people who yell at you, and there's going to be people that quit. But don't buy into it. Do not buy into it because it's a trick. It's a trick to get you to quit. And if you quit, you lose. So you have to just keep going forward no matter what is thrown in your face. It doesn't matter. Just keep walking. Just keep walking through your fears. If you have to talk to somebody you don't want to, talk to them. They're only people. Talk to them. Just keep walking through your fears, and believe me, at the end of this, you're going to be a new person. You're going to actually blossom and become the person. And everybody in here, you know, like not everybody is, all of us are different. Everybody's got a special talent. Everybody's got something that somebody else needs to hear. And if you're not talking, and if you're not out there doing the business, they're never going to hear it. So you might think, "Oh, I'm not as good a business person as Monty Schumacher, or I'm not as whatever as Kathy Denison, or what." Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All of us are special, and every single person has something to give, and other people need to hear it. So you must tell your story. You must tell people about the hardships in your life if you've got them, because everybody has problems in their life. Everybody has a reason for doing this business, and that is how you make your business grow, is by knowing what your reason is and telling other people about it, because they need to hear it. Because they think they're the only one in an abusive marriage or an alcoholic marriage. They think they're the only one who just went bankrupt. They think they're the only one. So we need to get out there and tell our stories and tell people they're not the only one, and we're this big living organism of entrepreneurs and high energy people that are moving forward with a cause. I was rollerblading around one of the islands in San Diego the other day, and I realized this is a healing company, Healing, Because this company heals our lives if we want to do it. It heals us mentally, it heals us spiritually, it heals us physically, it heals us in every single aspect of our lives if we let it be. So let's heal ourselves and help heal the planet. The end.